What up, CSGs? In this video, I'm going to talk Rockets versus Kings, key takeaways, what I saw from the game, from our players, overall from the coaching staff. Also, I'm going to do a deep dive on the first 5 games of this NBA season for the Houston Rockets. How have they been doing? Good, bad, ugly? We're going to find out. Tap in right now. Enjoy.
This is something I know.
Game in the fourth quarter, the Rockets are kind of putting off the comeback by the Kings. Jalen brings the ball up, and their job by the Kings, their coach tells them to get the ball out of Jalen's hands. Get the ball out of Jalen's hands. Now, this was a weird adjustment for the Kings for me because Jalen wasn't really hurting them, but it kind of played in our favor. And this is one of the benefits of having a playmaking big is that when teams start doing this, you can punish them. And this is another reason why the two-man game between the guard and the big is always going to be the most optimum version of a playmaking big. You see Jokic and Jamal Murray. Jokic in a vacuum is one of the best players in the league, if not the best player, but Jamal makes that whole thing work. So once again, I said in my other video, Jalen and Şengün need to work together for them to really maximize their value. But you get a glimpse of it here. This is what you see with Steph and Draymond or any great two-man combination with a passing big. So Jalen gets trapped by Malik Monk and Sabonis there, and then instinctively just passes it to Şengün in a short roll. Şengün goes to screen, so he acts like he's going to set the screen when the trap comes. He reads it wisely, and then immediately goes to the shooters in the corners. So now the Kings are in scramble mode, and Fred makes the right pass. Keegan Murray does make a good contest, but good repositioning by Dillon Brooks leads to a nice, smooth jumper and basically a backbreaker for the Sacramento Kings. So the Rockets just dusted the Sacramento Kings, a foxless Sacramento Kings. Let's throw that in there. But nonetheless, a dub is a dub, 2 in a row. The Rockets are going streaking, and hopefully we can make it 3 on Monday when we face them for game 2. That's really going to be hard. Rewatching the film, the Kings left a lot of buckets on the court, right? They missed a lot of open shots. I think that, they can still probably pose a threat for us in this next game. If their shots go down, it's a whole different ball game. They missed a lot of open shots. So I know the Rockets are going to watch that and see that on film and make the adjustments. But from the game, what are you going to do when your defense is clamping a team that's supposed to be a high-powered offense? Yeah, I know people are going to say Fox didn't play, but, he is an important part of their offense, but he's not the only part. And they could have ran a lot of their actions and try to run a lot of their actions, but the Rockets were just doing what they were supposed to do, and they were able to shut down the initial action. Now, I had made a comment about this maybe about a week ago, when we play the Warriors, about what our defense really looks like. From my point of view watching it, is that we were able to stop the first action. Where the Warriors were killing us was the secondary actions that they get into, which is where they go off script. And that's where, to me, when they're the most dangerous. But a team like us in previous seasons, teams like Golden State, Sacramento, San Antonio, Miami, when they ran their first actions, which is whatever their initial play is, whether they're going to run some split action with their player in the post, they're going to do a dribble handoff, our guys would get lost and we'd get beat on the first action, which is, to me, the best sign you could show for a bad defensive team and a bad team overall. When a team can run the first play in their playbook within the first 16 seconds, while the shot clock is up to 16 seconds, and they were able to score on you with relative ease. These are not those Rockets, right? We're blowing up the first action. You got to go into your bag. And this is where you miss the Foxes if you're a team like Sacramento, because there's not a lot of guys besides Malik Monk that are bag type of guys. And this is where they get off script, where Fox, gets into his thing and starts hurting you from different spots. So in that aspect, they missed him. But at a baseline, just being able to stop teams' primary action, especially teams like Golden State and Sacramento, these are the hardest teams to stop because there's so much going on in their offenses. They're moving players on ball, off ball, and your defense has to be really connected. The communication has to be on point, and everything just has to be just that much tighter and better for you to be able to keep up with them, or you're going to get blown out. And for multiple games, whether it's San Antonio, whether it was the Warriors, and now with the Kings holding them to only 87 points, their lowest point total since February of 2022, which is over a year ago. Now, people are going to say, well, Fox didn't play. Of course, they're going to know they haven't scored. Fox has missed 20 games in that span since last February in 2022, and they've never scored this low. So the Rockets are doing something right. And that defense was really what is carrying the team right now, especially in the stretches where our bench comes in and we can't score. You guys know the game got tight in the third quarter. They got within, I think they took a lead. They might have taken a 1-point lead, but within the span of us not scoring and them catching up a little bit by bit, in a stretch where they got real close, we only held them to 3 points for 6 minutes. So the defense is real. The defense is real. What's hurting right now is our offensive production. But from the game, I think everybody did what they were supposed to do. And it was a great all-around game for the team. And if you're going to hold a team like Sacramento to 26% shooting from three, you're probably going to win it. From this game, there was a lot being made about Jalen Green's offensive output, right? People were, I seen on Twitter, people were blaming Fred VanVleet for taking, he took 20-something shots. Fred took 22 shots to Jalen's 10. And it was, Fred is ball hogging the ball from Jalen Green, or Coach Udoka doesn't know how to get Jalen in the spots. To me, that's foolishness. That is just utter foolishness. Jalen Green is a guard in this offense, and the guards in this offense literally get to initiate a lot of the actions. Though it is an equal opportunity offense, it is very ball dominant as far as the guys that are going to be able to score are the guys that are on ball. Right now, the top three touches on the team for the Rockets are number 1, Fred VanVleet, number 2, Jalen Green, and number 3 is Alperen Sengun. And if you move that over to the front court, which is touches after you cross half court, Alp is number 1, Fred is number 2, and Jalen is number 3. And Alperen is number 1 because he's the initiator of their offense. Once he gets the ball, it goes into dribble handoffs or pick and rolls. Those are the two main options that they're using right now. And those are both things that Jalen should be competent at getting into. A lot of times I'm seeing him pass out of those actions once he gets the initial screen or rescreens. He doesn't have a plan to get into the paint and create. Now, we saw some great flashes of him playmaking in the fourth quarter. But as far as his shot selection and him being decisive, it's going to take time for him to get there. But if he's being passive because he's thinking, that is not because of Fred VanVleet. That is because of Jalen Green. Now, this is the distinction I need to make with people. I'm the one that said the team, you can't hold nothing against them until January, right? Because you got to give them time to click. You guys know my thing. I'm giving the young guys this year to really learn this system. Then next year, you're going to really see the fruits from it come in because they're going to be more comfortable. But on a micro basis, on a game-by-game basis, there are certain things that you can always control within whether you know or you don't know. And to me, assertiveness is one of them. Now, I'm not saying it's okay to be tentative at times because you're not sure or you're trying to figure it out. But on a team that's trying to win, we actually need Jalen to be aggressive. It's not even a suggestion. We need him. We need him to be him. And he doesn't have to be the greatest player in the world. Hell, he doesn't even have to score. I don't care if Jalen goes 0 for 20, 0 for 15. He has to be aggressive because the offense is predicated on that. The reason we have these lulls and where you have Fred and Dylan having to carry our guys is because that sometimes our young guys get a bit passive. So you can't blame the vets for doing what they're supposed to do when the young guys aren't stepping up to the plate. Somebody has said, why doesn't coach tell him to be aggressive, or Fred needs to empower him to be? Trust me, they're doing that. But this is the NBA. This is not Jalen's world where everything is meant for him to feel comfortable. This is the NBA. Coach Udoka has been on a championship teams. He's coached in the finals. Fred VanVleet is an NBA champion, has guarded Steph Curry at the peak of his powers. Dylan Brooks, a playoff performer. These guys are not going to just hand over the team to a player just because he's drafted number 2, right? If they give you a chance to ball, go hoop. If you're not going to hoop, they're going to go hoop. You cannot tell guys who the leaders are or he's the guy, he's the franchise player. You earn that junk on the court. So for Jalen, the request for him is not, he needs to take 15 or 20 shots. Let's be more assertive in the game. Okay, let's be more assertive. Trust your skills. and make that mental shift to be aggressive to help your team. Now, he had a great all-around game this game, so I think people get lost in the shuffle of critiquing his game or his approach to how he's impacting the team. He had a great all-around game. I've seen him have leaps on defense. His off-ball defense is really improving still. Obviously everybody could always get better. He's making wise decisions with the ball. His passing is improving on an incremental basis. But at the end of the day, his superpower, you guys know my term, the superpower is for him to score. And as I said, I'm going to stay consistent with my stance for Jalen Green that I made in the summer as far as what a third-year leap looks like for him. It's going to be him getting downhill into the paint and driving. That's why you put on the 10, 15 pounds. You got to get in that paint, especially if you're going against Domantas Sabonis. If you look at the shots that he missed at the rim, it just looked like he didn't know what he was going to do when he gets there. I'm going to hold him to a higher standard than a very athletic role player because I feel like Jalen is special. I'm going to hold him to a special standard. Let's take the kitty gloves off. He's getting paid. He's okay. He'll be fine, okay? Jalen will be just fine, okay? But let's take the kitty gloves off. Stop treating him like he's a Make-A-Wish kid and hold him to a standard of a guy that we expect to be here when everything is settled in and we're competing for rings. But, as a third-year player, I'm not talking about shots as far as numbers or his percentages. I'm talking about dominance and assertiveness. I never have to want to tell a guy, hey, bro, you got to go get it. If you don't know that from the jump, then that's on you. So he needs to switch that mentality as he's learning. And, all the other efficiency stuff, that's going to come down the road. But at the end of the day, right now, just from him and Jabari and Şengün, they are learning this new system. And Jalen, being the one that is most immersed in it from the last regime, is going to have the longest time period to adjust. But that adjustment doesn't mean that he has to be a shell of himself when he's on the court, especially on a team that is sorely lacking offense. So that's my take on the Jalen Green situation. But otherwise, he played a damn good game. And I'm loving what I'm seeing from him as far as him adjusting to the team. One thing I'm going to say about that kid, if you guys remember, I did a video about their upside. Jalen's strength and intangible that I listed was teachability. He's a sponge. So I know all of this he's processing. When he gets it, we're going to be off to the races. So once again, that's my take on that. If you dislike, oh well. So now I'm going to evaluate the team using stats, right? Let's talk about how the team performed, and I'll tie it in a little bit with some of the stuff that we've seen with Sacramento and some of the games that they've played already. But how we're going to do is we're going to look at the team's overall performance. I'm going to look at some things that I attribute to the coaching staff, and I'm going to give them a grade. I'm going to look at some things that I attribute to players, and I'm going to give them a grade, specifically the starters. I'm going to focus on the starters and some surprising things that the Rockets are really excelling in this early on in the season. I'm just going to give you guys upfront right now. Our bench is trash. Our bench is not good, but our starters, they're pretty good. So let's get into that aspect of this video. So the Rockets' top three play types on offense that we're running right now are spot ups, pick and roll ball handler at number 2, and transition play at number 3. And I believe that, in my opinion, this is beautiful. This is what you want it to look like, with 21% of our offense generating spot up threes. If you guys remember, there's a video I made about Coach Udoka. I think it's called like Pop Tree or something like that. But check that video out if you haven't already. It really talks about the calling card for Ime Udoka, and one of those is going to be generating threes. And, they started off the year a little rocky on that end, but you can see that really start to pick up. And the Rockets are a good three-point shooting team at this moment. 39% on those spot ups, field goals, 40% of those, on threes. Having a 55% EFG from spot ups is really good. The second play type, pick and roll ball handler, only 19% of our plays are pick and rolls. And this is kind of appropriate to me because we don't have a Luka or Harden where you want to be in the mid to upper 30s like we were last year with Jalen and Kevin Porter Jr., which to me was nuts. You guys already know my stance on that. I'm not going to beat that over the head, but we're not doing well in our pick and rolls. And a lot of it is because, one, we don't have that lob threat to really get into it and use that other half of it. And also both Jalen and Fred VanVleet are not finishing at the rim very well. Amen Thompson wasn't finishing at the rim very well. The finishing at the rim is a big problem for our perimeter players and our forwards and big men. Everybody's missing layups and putbacks and everything except Dylan Brooks. But the team needs to get better at that, or that number is going to stay low. Now, when you look at the roll man, it's a little bit better there. With when we get our bigs rolling downhill, they're shooting 57% on field goals on when they get to rolling from the pick and roll. Our guards just have to do better, right? They're shooting 32% on pick and rolls. 32% on pick and rolls is disgusting, and 24% from three in pick and rolls is even worse. So, we just got to finish better. You expect them to get better at this. This is where Jalen's skill sets really come in. This is where you want him to improve, because that two-man game is really predicated on two men. Like, if the bigs are going to do what they're going to do, the guards need to also put pressure on the defense, whether they're getting downhill, finishing, or drawing fouls, or you're hitting your shots off the screens. But that's definitely some improvement to me. The spot ups is what I love. In transition on both ends of the court, the Rockets have been stellar. And that's where we won. We're ranked excellent in two areas that I am really, really happy to see. And I want you guys to really notice these actually go together. We're ranked excellent in post-ups, and we're ranked excellent in cuts. The Rockets are posting up and getting guys, to commit to those double teams. And then when we cut, we're getting to the basket. So I need those two in tandem to keep sustaining that excellent mark, because when everything is really humming and everything is working well, those spot ups are going to be there from those post ups. Those cutting opportunities are going to be there from those post ups. And guess what you're going to look like? You're going to look like a high power offense, like a Denver, for say. So these are the trends you want to see from our team on the offensive side of the ball. So when we look at the defensive side of the ball, it's pretty much similar profile to what the Rockets are seeing on a more frequent basis. They're going to see a lot of spot ups, pick and roll ball handler, and transition. And this is maybe the second or third time I've showed you guys correlating offense defense charts that show what we do matches what everybody else is doing, right? Yay, we're a competent team again. This is what that means. When I lined up, I think Orlando's shot profile, and it was like identical to ours, that makes you feel good. When your shot profile is just wonky and you're a bad team, that usually means something isn't right. So most teams in the NBA want to generate spot ups. They're going to run their pick and rolls to get their guards and big men going downhill. And they're going to try to get transition opportunities. And for the teams we face, this is how we're guarding those. We're an average in guarding spot ups. I think we could improve on that easily with better communication from our players. We're average guarding the pick and roll ball handler, which I think is a big up from us from last year, where I think we were poor. And then in transition, we're one of the better transition teams in the NBA. So these are all great things that we're doing well. I want you guys to notice the pick and roll man is one of the highest rated things that we're doing. We're excellent in this position. So big men haven't been able to hurt us. And we've seen different types of big men, whether it's Wemby, whether it's, we have Sabonis that just came in the game, whether it's, what's his name from Orlando, the Orlando big man. He didn't really do much. I'm blanking on his name right now. But any of the big men that we faced over the past few games, Mark Williams, I thought was going to do something. He didn't do much. We're shutting down the big men, and we have some really good ones coming up with Jokic and Zubac and all these other guys. But Alp is doing his thing. The man is doing his damn thing. Like I said, he's the second or third best defender on the team, in my opinion, right now as we speak. And, he's doing his thing, especially when you have those guards. Like Coach Udoka keeps saying, the onus is on the guards to really fight around those screens on pick and rolls. And he's just doing a good job walling everything off, recovering back to his assignment. I love it. Bigs are shooting 46% on rolls. You'll live with that. 46% on rolls. And on the pick and roll, the ball handlers, even though we're just listed as average, guys are only shooting 42% on those. The field goals at 49.1% on pick and roll ball handler isn't that bad. You'll live with that. I think last year we were in like the 50s or 60s. So major improvements there on the play type. So one thing I wanted to point out to you guys that it's going to lead into some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about later is the shot profile for the Rockets. You can look and see how well that we're really, really, doing shooting the ball. Look at that catch and shoot rating. Excellent. The Rockets rated excellent in catch and shoot threes. And look at the percentages. Look at the percentages on that. That this is what we want for our team. to be able to do shooting 40% on catch and shoot as a team, as bad as we are shooting 40% on catch and shoots and 63% on 2-point field goals. So those are some of those catch and shoot mid-range shots that we're generating. This is, 61% EFG, 61% true shooting percentage. You'll live with that. And, we're rated excellent on catch and shoot threes. And if you really want to, see where we're killing teams as the unguarded catch and shoots. So we're generating half our catch and shoot shots are unguarded because teams are just sinking to help in the paint. And we're not even running our offense right yet. This is the crazy part. I always say this is the worst they're going to be. Shooting, look at that. On unguarded threes, 50% on field goals, 48% from three. We have 73% EFG and true shooting from that. That is nuts. I don't know if that's sustainable. Obviously, I think, Dylan Brooks and Jabari having some great shooting games. And guys, all of this is a very low sample size. As the games pile on, when I do my 10-game report card, it's going to go down. But, this is still exciting nonetheless. I just wanted to point that out, that the Rockets are shooting the thing. They're shooting that ball. Okay, so let's get to our grades on how we want to grade our coaching staff and our starting five. Okay, so let's just go over some stats for the first 5 games. And to me, this is going to be the mark of what we've seen Coach Udoka and his staff do. First 5 games so far, Rockets have a offensive rating of 108, which ranks 22nd in the NBA, which is bottom third. And we know why, because our bench is pretty bad. Our defensive rating is ranked middle of the pack, 17th. 111.6. Our net rating is a negative at this point, minus 3.6, and this is for the whole team, ranks 19th. So we're below average as a team right now, and our record reflects that with having two wins and 3 losses. That reflects where we are. We're a below average team at this point. Rebounding, we're below average, 23rd. Assists, this is something different for us. The Rockets are 6th in assists in the NBA right now, 66.3 assist percentage. A lot of those catch and shoots I just raved about are generated off of great passes. And having a point guard in Fred VanVleet is a world of difference as to the impact on your team. Keep that in mind, that this is Fred's impact on the team, is that guys are getting organized. We're generating shots. So the coach and the point guard, an extension of the coach, are generating these numbers. And these are winners' numbers. Being top 10 in assist percentage is a winner's stat, in my opinion. Look at the assist to turnover ratio. 1.86. That means for every 1.8, and this is for the whole team, all the guys that can't dribble, all of this stuff, 1.86 assists to every 1 turnovers. That ranks 8th in the NBA. The Rockets are taking care of the ball for the most part. And then turnover percentage, 14.5, we're middle of the pack. From assist downwards, we were bottom of the league in all 3 of these categories in the past 2 years. So these are the improvements that you want to see. Obviously, the other numbers aren't glamorous, but you're going to take those. When we look at our just overall stats, points per game, 108 ranks bottom, below average. Field goal percentage, middle of the pack, 45.9%. As a team, we're shooting 36.6%, which is middle of the pack at 14th. You will take that because we were damn near 30th last year. 3-point attempts, 17th. They've really picked up the attempts over the past few games. The first 2 games, I was really worried about that, but Coach Udoka, being a wise coach, knew that was something that they need to address. Free throw percentage is still a troubling issue that carried over from the preseason. 24th in the league at shooting 72% is not going to get it. Our EFG is middle of the pack at 53.1, and EFG is the combination of 2-pointers and 3-pointers. Just uses a calculation to give you an average of how you're doing on both of those shots combined. And true shooting is below average, 19th. Which true shooting, the difference is between EFG and true shooting is that it also adds in free throws. So it looks at your free throw percentage, your 3-point percentage, and your 2-point percentage, and gives you a combined statistical number for us, which is 55%, which is slightly below average, but still good nonetheless. For all this, I'm going to give Coach Udoka an A. I'm not going to give him an A+ because I feel like he could improve on some of his lineups. I know he's still trying to figure it out. I'm going to be a harsh teacher here and just say that, but I'm going to give him an A, given the circumstances of the team that he has, what he's being asked to do. I think he's doing a fabulous job. He's hit every button that you need to hit to get guys to do what they need to do, and the guys respect him. That's all you can ask for from a coach. I'm going to give him an A for the first 5 games. Okay, so now let's break down our starting 5, okay? And just some general stats for you guys to know about the starting 5, and I think some of this will surprise you. So in 192 possessions on the court together, they have an offensive rating of 120.3, which would rank 5th in the NBA. Right, that's the 5th ranked offensive rating, and the defensive rating of 104.7, which will rank 12th. So net rating for our starting 5 is plus 15.6. So when they are on the court together, we're beating teams on average by 15 points, which ranks 7th in the NBA, and that is impressive. That is impressive. This is definitely something that we never thought we'd see this early. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't think this was going to be something that you would see this early on. And you could say that there's some inflated stats. Once again, small sample size, 5 games. But from where the team was coming from last year to where we are now, you take this and some, bro. Like, you got to just celebrate these type of victories. You look at their EFG percentage on offense. So our EFG, once again, combined 2s and 3s, 62.9% with the starting 5. 62, that ranks 4th in the NBA. Then the defensive, we're holding teams to 49.1% on both 2s and 3s when our starters are on the court, which ranks 11th. 3-point accuracy. Let's look at how well we're shooting the 3 with this starting 5. Corner 3s, we rank 9th in NBA, 46.2%. Non-corner 3s, those are top of the keys, above the breaks and the slots, 49%. Our team is shooting 49% on non-corner 3s, and all 3s, we are at a blazing 48.4%. Both our non-corner 3s and all our 3s combined rank number 1 in the NBA among five-man groups. So our starters have the best 3-point shooting starting 5, which is stupid to say, but it's true. If Dylan Brooks is going to be on fire leading the NBA in 3-point percentage amongst his amount of makes or attempts, Jabari is shooting well from 3. Şengün is somehow like a 36% 3-point shooter. Fred is hovering in the mid-30s. I forgot what Jalen's is. We're the best 3-point, and it's weird to say it, but it is. This small sample size, but the sample size really isn't that small. You look at the frequency of it. This is where we rank amongst attempts. The corners were low, right? 7.3%. That ranks 20th so we need to generate more corner 3s. That comes with getting downhill with our guards, with Jalen, Fred, able to punish the defense and then start when the defense collapse or try to stop them from getting to the rim, they can kick it out. That's why, once again, back to Jalen, you got to be aggressive, bro, because even if you're not making your shots, the threat of you being a paint touch demon, the threat of you getting to the cup, the threat of you using your speed, the fear that you put in other teams' opposing big man opens those corners, and that's going to help us more as those other numbers start to taper down. Non-corner 3s, 28.8% of our shots are from there, which would rank 8th in the NBA in attempts, and then all 3s we rank 12th in attempts. So we're middle of the pack in generating those shots, and we're hitting them at a high clip. This is definitely a unseen development on my end. I did not think that we would get here this fast. So if we look at it from 2-point accuracy, once again, we're looking at 2-pointers. This is rims and mid-range. At the rim, we are scoring at 70.8% with our starting 5. A lot of that is going to be within Jabari, Şengün, and Dylan Brooks. Fred and Jalen could improve there a lot more. And in the mid-range, we're shooting 45.8%. You look at our 2-point frequency, 30.5% of our shots come at the rim, 33.3% come at the mid-range. So the Rockets are shooting a third of their shots are 3s, a third of their shots are in the mid-range, and a third of their shots are at the rim. I'm going to need to steal a little bit from the mid-range and spread it out a little bit towards the 3s. So generate more 3s and then attack the basket more. I'm not one of those like diehard analytics like 3s and layups type of guy, but you got to play the math, especially when you have a team that's built like ours. The only problem is we need our guards to get downhill. Once again, back to the Jalen point. His aggression is going to be based is going to be the reason why our offense is successful. Whether he makes or hits the shot, the threat of him getting downhill needs to be in the minds of defenses. And the reason I say this is because when these numbers go down, right? Dylan Brooks is not going to shoot 70% from 3 for the whole season. When these numbers go down, Jalen and his rim attacks need to be our bread and butter, especially when Alperen Şengün is not on the court. And I'll show y'all why it is important to be able to generate offense in the non-Şengün minutes right now. Okay, so I'm going to go through and grade each player. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at their impact. We're going to look at their overall impact on the court. What is their differentials when they're on the court and when they're off the court? How does it impact the team? And then for the, once again, for the starters, what do the other starting players look like when each player isn't there? So for the first guy we're going to go to is Jabari Smith Jr. When he's on the court, it is a flat 0. So he neither helps nor hurts the team. He's just there. Jabari's just there. When he's off the court and our bench is in, if you take him off the court, we are losing at minus 7.2. They need to get more production out of the bench for that, and I think that number even out a little bit more. So Jabari's net differential of his impact on and off the court is 7.2. I think he has the lowest impact on the starters for sure. So now if you take Jabari out of the starting 5 and insert any other player in there, our starting 5's net differential goes up to 28.2, so plus 28 when the starters have nobody that's not named Jabari on there, when it's somebody else. And we've only seen this in 15 possessions. So it's a low sample size, but those lineups with Tate in there are really doing well with the starters. And I think a couple of them with Jeff Green are really doing well with the starters. But the fact that he's a 0 is actually a positive. Jabari in previous years was a big negative on the court. This is improvement for him because what this allows him to do is to be on the court while we're winning. And at the same time, he's learning to be a positive because he's doing other things on the court, rebounding, getting offensive rebounds, putbacks, all those things that he does well, and learning on defense. Defense is still an issue. The Kings attack them a little bit, but once again, the aggression, one thing you love about the kid, that he has a very strong mentality. He does not quit on things. So I'm going to give Jabari's grade a B-. The reason I can't give him any higher than that is because the defense is still an issue. And obviously the team seems to be better in the starting 5 with somebody else in there. So I can't give him an A for that, but I'm going to give him a solid B- because I feel like he gives 100% effort. And, as the tide turns for him, those zeros are going to turn to positive. Next player is going to be Jalen Green. His on-off impact when Jalen is on the court, he is a plus 2.3 for the team, which isn't, anything to write home about, but it's a positive. So he is actually helping the team when he's on the court. This includes all sorts of lineups. And when he's off the court, we are a minus 14.1. So his net differential for his on-off is 16.4. So that's the impact that he's having. And the starters without Jalen, we won't know because there's only been 3 plays that he's not been out there with the starting 5 as far as when they're all out there. So Coach Udoka likes Jalen Green on the starting lineup because to me, it allows him to be able to play his game. Also, him playing next to Fred takes a lot of pressure off of him, knowing that he does get timid and hesitant sometimes as he's learning. You don't want to put him out there too much alone. Some of the lineups that he has with Amen Thompson are really good, but when the starters are out there, usually Jalen Green is going to be out with the group with Şengün, Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, and Jabari Smith Jr. They rarely swap out our 2-guard rotation with somebody else because who else is going to be? Cam Whitmore? No, they're not letting him play for some weird reason. Reggie Bullock is a corpse of himself right now. So there's really nobody at his spot. So he's going to be on that lineup. So we really don't have enough to make any conclusions. For Jalen's grade, I'm going to give him a B, solid B. I'm going to give him a B. Same thing with Jabari. Good effort. He's humble. He wants to learn. I can't give him an A because, he needs to be more assertive. And this is something that I've been requesting from Jalen from his rookie year. So I just need him to make growth, have growth in some of those other aspects of the game. I mean, it's third year, bro. Like at the end of the day, at some point you got to either take a dump or get off the toilet. Like, be more assertive. We want to see that alpha come out of him. So until then, he's going to be a B. I love that he's a positive on the team, though. So Fred VanVleet's on-off numbers kind of surprised me a bit. When he's on the court, we're actually losing just by a little bit. When he's off the court, we are a minus 9.3, which is, still losing. And you look at the net differential, it's 8.1. The theory that I have with Fred is that he's on the court with a lot of more different types of lineups than everybody else. Coach Udoka uses him as a stabilizer, so he's playing more with the bench. He's playing more with other guys. Now, when you take him out of the starting 5 and you insert anybody else, they're a plus 48.3 and only 16 possessions, which is, negligible possessions, but that is still interesting. Now, if you really want to see something crazy, Amen Thompson with the starting five is that's where it's at. So when he gets healthy, Amen Thompson with Jalen and Dylan is interesting. I know you guys are seeing glimpses of it with Jabari and Şengün out there as well. So, but I think what Fred offers is what I already talked about earlier. Getting guys organized, the assist percentages, obviously being aggressive and taking a lot of shots that other guys aren't stepping up to take. That really does impact his plus minus, and he hasn't played well to even by his standards. He's had like 2 or 3 good games and 2 or 3 stinkers. So I think as the production gets better, more consistent, you'll see that number go up. Like I said, I'm going to give him a B plus because I think he needs to be way more efficient. I think his shot selection is kind of bad right now. When he gets to the rim, he needs to be able to either make a decision to pass it out, but those like circus layups, not his cup of tea, bro. So you got to know, pick the shoes that fit your feet, bro. So yeah, I'm gonna give him a B plus, but and I would make it an A. Just the efficiency and the impact that he's having overall isn't as strong as you want from a guy that's getting the 48 M's. But as far as him outside of, everything else, he's worth every penny. I think he's a culture transformer, and we're able to see that with some of our defensive ratings that I went over earlier. So I'm not going to give Fred too much grief. I think it's just going to go up. I think he is a victim of his aggression and trying to fill a lot of voids around the team based on our bench. And I think he's just suffering for that issue because that's why he plays the most minutes. So for Alperen Şengün, the on-off impact is the greatest you're going to see from any player on our team. When he's on the court, plus 6.8. When he's on the court, a plus 6.8. When he's off the court, we're losing by 22 points per possession. Net differential 29.1, which is the largest on-off overall. When you have the starting five without Alperen Şengün, and that's going to be Dylan, Fred, Jalen, and Jabari. Without Alp, they're losing at 53.6 points per possession. This has only happened in 21 possessions. This just goes to illustrate his importance on the team. You guys will notice when he gets off the court, our offense goes into the tanker. So he is basically the sun, the moon, and the stars for our offensive system and structure right now, which is why I'm gonna give him an A plus. He's an A plus. Like I said, has the widest net differential on the team. If I say we had a team MVP, it's going to be Alperen Şengün because he is providing that self-generated offensive structure and guy that can force a double team that you need to have some semblance of an offense. If he wasn't on the team, I think we'd be 0-5 right now. So I'm going to give him a plus. And then lastly, Dillon Brooks, who is on court plus 4, not the most. His off court isn't the most. So he's just he comes in second with the net differential at 24.2 points per possession. But look at our starting five without Dillon Brooks. When he is out of the lineup, it's only been 14 possessions. He's usually out there with the starters. We are a minus 74.4. So he is the starting 5 MVP. The reason that plus 15 rating that we have in our starters is because of Dillon Brooks. The defensive metrics I read in our starting 5 is because of Dillon Brooks. Everything that is good about that starting 5 largely is because of Dillon Brooks. So out of our players in the starting 5, I think in that unit, he's the most important, while I have Alperen as the team's most important player. But I'm going to give Dillon an A++++, because if you look at the last game that we just played against the Kings, the way he gets his points is the way that you would have dreamt. If you give me a script to write about how I want Dillon Brooks playing, it would be just like this. Damn the shots, damn the 100% from 3, all that stuff. I'm talking about this dude is attacking in transition. He's cutting. He's attacking in the post. He doesn't take a lot of bad shots. He might get one off and he's going to hit it. But at the most of the time, this dude is just bullying, cutting, driving, all the stuff that you want to see from him. And he's not forcing the game. Everything is coming to him. Then the added benefit of being one of the best defenders in the NBA, shutting whole players down for entire games. I mean, what more can you ask for? He's definitely at this point played over his salary. And you hope, even if he slips into being normal as a shooter, if Dillon becomes a 36% three-point shooter and he becomes a guy that's, true shooting is down in the 50s, with the defense he provides, he's still going to be a positive. If he keeps up this shot selection and just he's going to be intense and hustle. So I have no complaints about Dillon Brooks right now. That starting five is the Dillon Brooks starting five. He has made such a major impact on our team that you cannot even quantify it as much. So I'm going to give him an A plus into infinity because he is balling right now. So for the Rockets, I mean, what more can you ask for? The team is 2-3. We could easily be 3-2. You look at games we could have won. San Antonio, that should have been a gimme game. Just make your free throws, hit your three. We're going home with the victory that game. Orlando, really, they kicked our butt. You got the Golden State game. Could have went either way, but they have Steph Curry. I think they would have found a way to win. So I say 3-2. At the start of the year, for the first 5-game stretch, when I gave predictions on this channel and on Locked On Rockets, I said that if the Rockets can come out of this with 2 wins, they've done it. Like, that's really the standard that you want. And guess what? 2-3. And these aren't even games that I assumed that we were going to win. I thought we were going to beat Orlando and San Antonio. I thought the Charlotte one would be a split, kind of go either way. And I didn't think we would beat or be ready to play a team like Sacramento. But we are. And so to me, their defense is a little bit ahead of the curve, ahead of schedule where they're supposed to be. This next game with Sacramento, we're going to see. I think the Kings are going to come back with a vengeance. Like I said, it's really hard to beat good teams twice in a row. If you can beat a good team twice in a row, if the Rockets beat the Kings again this Monday, if we beat them again, even with Fox in or out, if we beat them again, the Rockets are going to make the play-in. That's my prediction. Because to be that competent as a team, to go against another elite coach with elite players, Fox is great, but I mean, they have a good team, bro. This is a team that, what were they, third in the West last year? If you can beat them twice in a row, to me, it says that you have a competent roster and you're going to make the play-in. So that's my prediction. That's my prediction. If we beat the Kings, y'all need to celebrate, because that means you've beat another group of men against their will, against their planning, their structure, their adjustments, and you still were able to impose your will on them. So keep a lookout for that game. That's my hot take for this video. If the Rockets beat the Kings, we're going to make the play-in. But overall, I'm going to give the Rockets first 5 games an A. And I think that, to me, they've superseded any expectations I've had. Despite all the weird high shooting numbers, I'm just talking about just structurally. The assist percentages, being ranked top 6 in assists, the turnover percentage, being a top 15 turnover team, being a middle of the pack defense, and sustaining it. The starting 5 playing the way they are. I think the shooting is going to tailor off over time, but I mean, what more can you ask for? I've loved every minute of this season, and it's great watching meaningful basketball. Y'all let me know, what are your grades for the players? What is the grade for the Rockets? Like I said, I give them an A+. Coach Udoka, he gets an A from me, and you guys can see the rest of my grades on the video. What are your grades for the starting 5 or whoever else you want to give a grade to? And if you waited this long to listen to this entire video and you haven't hit the like button yet, go ahead and hit the like button now to support the channel. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you can keep getting this great premium basketball content. Keep rocking with the Chop Shop, and we're going to keep dropping that fire.